here we are. It's not quite halfway.
It feels halfway. Just
worryingly. I did look up on Christmas Day. Typically, teams have played 18 games.
We're only 4 away.
So we're only 4 away. Because we've squeezed a few more in.
So, I keep hearing all these annoying stats about what happens to teams who are top at Christmas.
We'll be the first team not to win or something like that with this points total.
It has happened a couple of times, but
so right, ostensibly this is going to be kind of a stock take as to where we are right now.
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's just cast our thoughts back to Saturday. Because I'm going to ask you to cast your mind back just a further 7 days or 6 days 7 days to the previous Saturday and the Etihad Stadium again, and Man City at home to Fulham drawing 1-1, and they won. And I know we kind of we disagree on whether that was a penalty or not, but I'm right, that was not a penalty. But it was my response. Like every other game Man City have won this season, it hasn't cost me a second's thought. But that one kind of ruined my Saturday, and I didn't know, to the point where I was feeling a bit irritable, and I didn't know why. And I asked myself, what's wrong with you, you muppet? And then I suddenly, it's because City scored a 95th minute winner. So fast forward. So why was I feeling like that if it wasn't important? It was obviously important. Subconsciously, I'm thinking, Ellen, we've got a chance here. And then we beat Chelsea, which kind of reaffirmed that in a manner that was very difficult to ignore. And then Saturday morning, where I don't think there's any football fan who would have predicted anything other than a Man City home win against Brentford, and they lose, and they're panicking a little bit. There's diving in the yes, they are. De Bruyne dived for that penalty against Fulham, and he was at it again against Brentford, and they're getting a bit desperate there because this is their best start to a season in 5 years. Man City, and they're still 5 points, and they're still 5 points behind us. Not just second now, 5 points now. Everyone's expecting us to capitulate, and we could still do so. But old Arsenal would then have a Man United mate of mine messaged me after City lost. Just very simple text. He said, message, WhatsApp. He said, "You're going to win the league." Man United fan. Now he's a Man United fan that's my age, and so we've been going head to head with us and United over the years, and he said, "You're going to win the league," and so we engaged in a conversation about it. But the fact is, and then so my initial response to that was, cue insipid performance at Wolves. We talk about narratives, and top v bottom was doing my head in for about 5 hours or 4 hours, whatever it was, since the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and Forest won, and I'm like, oh no. And then the new manager paraded around the ground. And I'm like, oh, go away.
It was quite funny being there. The sort of, nothing particularly egregious, but the sort of funny banter, sort of chanting at their new manager as he goes around. Which was
didn't he do a fist pump to the Arsenal fans as well? Like someone said, because he didn't know.
The problem is, you've been to Wolves?
Yes,
right?
It's on that you're not behind the goal.
It's my first time ever going to Molineux, and I know we're now talking about the game recently, and you had a broader point.
No. I wanted to come up to this one. No, that's fine.
But I've never been before because of a mixture of midweek arranged games and lockdowns, global pandemics. For some reason, I just hadn't been.
And Wolves not in the Premier League.
And Wolves not in the Premier League for such a long time. So it's my first time there. And I did know that the away fans were on the side. I didn't know that they were only the sort of lower tier part, and you just can't get a proper atmosphere going. Like where we were, which was, I don't know, sort of halfway up one half, as it were. You would see, arms and limbs going off one end, but you couldn't hear them at all, like, other Arsenal fans.
Yeah.
And so it was very weird. But because the Wolves fans are above us as well, Lopetegui's going past and he's fist pumping and flipping about. He's not doing that to us. He's doing that to the Wolves fans.
Right.
There's nothing there for that. But yeah, strange. Was there narrative? I don't know. The narrative for me is that Wolves are never going to score a goal ever again.
Well, first up, it was live, a televised game. So some people somewhere were anticipating a banana skin for us. And
everyone does.
I actually think Wolves played quite well first half. I think they sat very deep. We didn't create much, and they actually created the clearer chances. A word on Gabriel at centre back, who I thought, I don't know, I think it'd be interesting to see what you think about the game. He was immense watching it. Saliba was weak. Saliba had probably his worst game, and Gabriel covered for him a lot.
Yep.
And big debate in the TV studios about the penalty, and
right.
I thought it was offside straight away.
Yeah.
And the flag did go up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't offside, and it was definitely a penalty.
Right. So here's the thing, because being there, the game moves quicker than TV. Sometimes TV dwells on various decisions and this, that, and the other. And I don't even remember a single VAR check at all. And so, there are a couple of egregious fouls. And so I came away, we were all delighted and this, that, and the other. And when it settled down, when I finally got in at about 2:00 in the morning, quick scroll online to what's going on. And I see Wolves fans really spitting feathers about this penalty decision. I'm like, okay, straight on to the highlights. And what I thought was going to be the thing that came up wasn't the thing that came up. I thought they were going to talk about the lunging challenge from, I think, Gabriel.
Yeah, Gabriel put the block in, yeah.
Late on in the game.
Oh, right, okay.
No, it's one either much later on in the game, if I remember rightly, but I can't remember right. Whereas the Saliba, clumsy sort of challenge
didn't register at the ground.
No, didn't.
I think because the flag had gone up, possibly.
And that's that probably mitigates it. But even then, like, I sort of watch it back and go, I mean, is it that obvious?
There's one angle. The referee's angle is inconclusive. No. I can see why he didn't give it. But the angle from behind the goal almost, or the corner flag area, the Wolves player gets his whole leg between ball and Saliba, and Saliba kicks him. Like, it's right. I always think, reverse it. Would I want a penalty? Oh my word!
Okay,
I'd be spewing if I didn't get that penalty. Now, he'd lost control of the ball, so it wouldn't have been a red card because it wouldn't have been a goal scoring opportunity, as presumably. So because
you feel like a malicious attempt.
No, it was just clumsy. Yeah, it was just clumsy. Absolutely.
Okay.
But it, what was it? Very early on, 0-0, 1-0 down, then with something to hold on to, and we could have had a player sent off, wasn't it? Wasn't it there that Martinelli was sent off for like 2 yellow cards in 10 seconds, and so you never know.
Michael Owen.
That
was bizarre.
Anyway. Yeah. That's not bizarre. That's corruption, allegedly. So of course you were at the game, so watching it. Second half, then there was no danger.
Well, it felt like the first half was very, very flat.
Yeah, we had no tempo.
No tempo, passes going awry. And then it's interesting that Arteta comes out, and obviously with Xhaka going off early, he did say that there was an illness.
Yeah, there were apparently four players were affected.
So that might explain a little bit. Fabio Vieira comes on. Wasn't the obvious change that people around us would have gone for, but
No, I messaged you and I said I would have brought Tierney on and moved Zinchenko
And I think a lot of people tended to agree, or just expected a more defensive change of El Neni.
Yeah, but having said that, see, Arteta had already worked out what Wolves are doing, and that was sitting deep. So another creative player who can pick a pass was actually the better choice, really.
Absolutely. You know, El Neni would have been the sort of fit positionally, but like you said, I mean, they sat so deep. It was ridiculous in the first half, which was what was so frustrating about us, that if we'd started with that tempo and undone their plans, then it might have been an even more convincing performance. As it was, you know, the first half went our way, perhaps luckily, like you said, but second half, I don't know. It was just whether it was the instruction to Vieira or whether he'd just grown in a bit of confidence and settled down. He was suddenly breaking the lines. He was suddenly getting crosses in. He was suddenly just seemed to be popping up everywhere and doing that thing where I always feel like Odegaard doesn't really play a proper number 10 role for me. He always tends to drift one side.
Well, he pulls right. I think that's deliberate.
He does pull right. Whereas it seemed like Vieira was certainly pulling left. And
because Xhaka does. That's what Xhaka does. Xhaka pulls left, so he was.
And it felt like Vieira had fulfilled that role. You know, not perhaps as well as Xhaka, but he was involved in build up to
his assist. His assist was superb.
Yeah. Great. So second half, just that positivity, that confidence. You know, Vieira's fitting into the team a bit more, put us on the front foot. And yeah, like you say, the second half never really looked overly troubled. And you know, another
always grateful
away fixture. Sorry, my dog's shaking the sofa.
Always grateful for the second goal.
Oh, massively! Yeah, we knew we had to push for it, and when it came, you know, everyone just.
And who's our top scorer in the Premier League?
Well, it would be Odegaard now.
It is 6 goals. Yeah.
What a player!
I mean, I said to you 2 years ago, or whenever it was, he's the only player in that current team at that time who I felt would fit into a Wenger team, a top Wenger team. I just thought he had that
He's great.
That style about him, that skill and finesse about him.
Yeah.
And always said as well, like the caveat to that was he doesn't score enough goals. He doesn't pull the trigger enough. And he's 23. I mean, he is ridiculously young.
I mean, some of the stats, you know, a lot of sites online are looking at the season so far because it does feel like a natural stopgap. But we're the youngest side in the league, and we are top by 5 points after 14 games.
And we've had a wobble as well.
Yeah,
but the wobble saw us drop 2 points at Southampton. But those 4 games, let me get this right. Forest at home, Leeds away, Forest home, Southampton away, Chelsea away, Wolves away. Sorry, forget about which game on mine. It was Forest at home, Southampton, Chelsea, and Wolves away.
I think Forest.
It was those 4 games.
Forest came after Southampton and Leeds.
Yeah, so no, Leeds was. Discount the Leeds one. It's not the Leeds one. It was Southampton away, Forest home, Chelsea away, Wolves away. And I said I wanted 10 points from those 12 games and we'd be delighted.
Yeah.
Assuming we'd draw the Chelsea away game. The fact that we drew the first of those 4 put all the additional pressure on the remaining 3, which we won. And we won at a canter. I know 1-0 away at Chelsea might sound nervy, but it was the most dominant of 1-0 wins.
Oh, it was
so
weak by Chelsea.
So those 3 wins, like the Wolves win, that's a banana skin.
Yeah.
Wolves away. It's like I have today in school a couple of Spurs fans in my Year 9 class. Well, I was standing at the door welcoming all of the class in as per usual after lunch, trying to get them down from the clouds. And a couple of Spurs fans just walked past, just kind of looked at me and just started shaking their heads saying, you're going to win the league. And they were like completely crestfallen. And I was like, even if we're not going to win the league, which I don't think we will, it's worth it that for the next 6 weeks, you lot are going to be looking like that.
Well, this is it. And that's even after Spurs did
their best start to a season ever, by the way.
Yeah. Which I still don't know how to feel about. I don't know whether to be delighted because they're playing so awful and they're booing at half time, and they start games so poorly, and the style is absolutely god awful and boring to watch. But they're getting results.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's really worrying. They've actually got quite a good attack, and now Bentancur and Højbjerg in midfield is quite solid. If they sort out their defence, I am going to worry.
I don't think Conte's got a good performance in him, though.
No, but Conte doesn't do style. Conte does winning, and that's the bit that worries me. So it's going to be an interesting.
So listen, okay, I've got a question for you. You kept telling me stop focusing or worrying about Man City. Focus and enjoy yourself. Why are you worrying about Spurs?
Because we started talking about it.
Because they're 8 points. They're 8. I'm not worried about them. He says.
Yeah, exactly. I'm worried about everyone, but like I said, I'm just enjoying our ride. I was a bit miffed at blooming Man United getting a Ten Hag time winner against Fulham. Fulham really did quite well.
Absolutely. I'm still looking at Chelsea and now looking at Liverpool. I didn't think we'd be looking at Liverpool results at all this season, but for the opposite reason, like as in they'd be too far ahead.
They'll be annoyed that the World Cup's come around because they were just hitting some rhythm, weren't they?
So I still look at United results. So I think Newcastle, listen to who Newcastle have played. They've gone to Spurs. They've gone to Old Trafford. They've gone to Anfield. They've played at home to Chelsea and at home to Man City. And they haven't lost. Oh, no, Liverpool beat them.
That's their only.
With a 90-something minute winner.
Yeah.
So,
we're worried about them.
Yeah, I didn't want... A mate of mine messaged me, Newcastle have gone 1-0 up against Chelsea. I'm like, not good.
Well,
we want to draw.
I'm still in the phase, and I probably will be for a very long time, that pretty much almost anyone could be playing Chelsea, apart from maybe Spurs, and I will happily watch Chelsea suffer. And that's not going away anytime soon.
No, I know, I get that, but I still didn't want. I wanted to draw in that game. Another 2 points drop for Potter. But I still look at the Spurs game and the United game. It's instinctive. They're our rivals for top 4. So look, here's some. Oh yeah, just about the Wolves. The Saturday just gone. Actually, something interesting. A little kind of observation. Arteta, because he was questioned and asked about it, admitted that the team watched the Man City game on the coach on the way up, and when when Brentford scored the winner, he intimated that the bus went mental.
Yep.
So I got a question.
Yep.
If that's the case, what are the Arsenal players thinking about the league?
Well, they're like any top footballers, and you're talking a team of internationals who are all going to the World Cup, and albeit that there might be only 2 or 3 who are guaranteed starters, they're all competitors. All footballers are winners.
To get to where they are, they're outstanding mental strength and talent and everything. Yeah.
I remember years ago when I was getting into teaching, I did some kids football coaching. So I did that, the level 1 FA thing, which is just to check that you're safe to run a session and this, that, and the other. But the guy who led the session, he was a high up academy coach from Fulham. And he was talking about some of the numbers, in the professional thing, because I started picking his brain, as I always do. That'll do, dog. Sorry. I sort of said, how many make it? And he was like, 1%. 1% make it. He said most academies are set up to bring through 2, 3, 4 players
Yeah.
max.
And that's
So
1% of
some will then
that's,
drop down and work their way up, through other clubs.
that's
But
1%.
really,
That's 1% of the players who get to the academy,
that's
like,
exactly.
which is already
Yeah.
a minuscule percent
Yeah.
of all the kids
So
who want to
all
play football.
footballers at the top want to win. But like you say, there's just something in that. The fact that they're looking out for Man City, they're not thinking, "Oh, it's
One
Man
game at a
City
time." But they're also not thinking one game at a time mantra that Arteta. It's like if Arteta really believed in that one game at a time, he'd have said, "No, you're not watching the game. Don't think about. Don't give your energy. Don't waste your energy with them."
But having our supporters club did the whole player welcome to the stadium thing, where you go under the bowels of the Emirates. This was for the Liverpool game a few weeks ago, or maybe start of October, and so you're there. You're not really supposed to chant and everything, but everyone does a little cheer and a clap or whatever. But the coaches and the manager are on one bus, the players are on another bus.
Oh, right, okay.
That was what we noticed, and we thought was very telling. So there's obviously a separation, there's a hierarchy going on there. So Arteta's not really in control, and I think at the same time, like even if you are like, they're football fans as well. Most footballers are football
Ben
fans.
White's not.
Except Ben White. Ben White probably wasn't watching the Man City game. He was probably, I don't know, reading a book or something. So I want to know what he is into.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't read that interview. I know.
It's Benjamin White.
Benjamin White. Benjamin White.
Which is, why do you like to be called Benjamin? Because it's my name.
It's my name.
Like he's so spiky. I love him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love the fact as well that he's now cultivating that reputation. So more and more broadcasters are going to want him on because his interviews will generate views, but the interviewers themselves will hate it because it's so awkward. But
because they're going to have to think carefully about their questions, because if they ask a stupid question, he'll let them know.
He's not daft, is he? Just while we're on Benjamin White, that pass.
Yeah.
Oh my word! Even in the stadium, it was like everyone was watching a fireworks display. Everyone went, "Ooh!" It was all giddy. It was like that's the centre back playing right back doing that. That was amazing. What a pass!
So we are okay, right? So that's it with the look back, or the Wolves game in particular. Just to kind of appraise of where we are, we Orbino tweeted that we've actually gained 12 points on the like-for-like games last season.
See, I was going to wonder about that. I saw something that said we were 14 points better off this year than we were this time last year.
Yeah, but game for game,
that's 12 points.
12 points. Spurs are the next best on +4. So we think Spurs are doing well, but actually they're only 4 points up on the games last year. We're on target for 100 points.
Yeah. This is the thing. I still don't want to get too carried away, because Xhaka and Partey are going to the World Cup. They're guaranteed starters for their countries. What's
the likelihood of Switzerland and Ghana getting out of their groups? I have no idea. I've not even looked at their groups, so I don't know.
I think Switzerland is pretty good. Ghana, I'm not too sure about. World Cup. Man searches up thing on internet. Our school, is your school going to show the England game on Monday?
See, my year 9s were asking me today, because the first half is during lunchtime. And so that's one of those same Spurs fans went, "Sir, do you know what's happening this time next week?" And I said, "No, tell me." Like, I knew what he said. I don't know what's happening this time next week. I know. I said, "No, that's what he said." "Sir, do you know what's happening this time next week?" And I knew what he was. I said, "Yes, I do. You are doing an assessment on Othello, whilst I watch the football on my phone." He was like, "What?" I don't think our head teacher is a football fan.
Yeah.
He's a Crystal Palace fan. I'm not sure he's brave enough to say carte blanche, right, watch the game. I can understand why. I mean, I'll be fine. My year 9 class are pretty mental. but they love their football, so I can get them on board with that. Yeah, I don't know. Is it on what chat? Is it on the BBC by any chance?
I couldn't tell you.
If it's on the BBC, then we can watch it on the big screen in the room. So I don't know. What my head of department's got year 13, so he's all right. The second in charge has got a 3, so they don't bloody care. Then I'm the next big football nut, and I've got year 9. So like, are you guys watching it?
Well, our school parliament voted a motion to put it to the leadership team for discussion. The leadership team are discussing it, and there's hints that there could be a plan for spaces set up for people who want to watch football, but also spaces for people who don't, because it's actually a pretty probably big split, I would have thought, for people who really do, like myself, and people who really don't, like, I don't know, my colleague who I car share with, she couldn't give a monkeys. But we'll see. But we do know of one other Norfolk secondary school, because one of our teachers, that his partner works at the school, they've already said that, no, we're all watching it. We're all in the hall. We're watching it. So I think that's getting around.
I've taught in schools where they've done that and schools where they haven't. It's much better when they do it, because it kind of fosters that.
Everyone. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. World Cup groups.
Yeah.
Saka will be playing for Switzerland in a group of Brazil, Serbia, and Cameroon.
Oh, Switzerland could struggle in that group.
Switzerland, I would put them. They're probably favourites ahead of Serbia and Cameroon, but Serbia and Cameroon will make it.
Yeah.
It's whether Switzerland can score a lot of goals. I don't know if they've got a good goal scorer.
No, not me.
Team. Brazil are obviously going to top it, you'd have thought. Now, this one's interesting. Thomas Partey will be playing in the midfield for Ghana against Portugal, who I've got down as dark horses.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Uruguay, who are the oldest football team to have ever lived, I think. But they're quality, and you do wonder if there's a lot of muscle memory in all those years that they've got. I mean, we're talking Luis Suarez, we're talking Edinson Cavani, we're talking who was the guy who used to play for Atletico Madrid at centre back? Godin.
Yeah, Godin. Yeah.
I mean, they're all about 70 years old. So, and then the other one is South Korea. Yeah, that is. That's the group of death.
Yeah, so like Ghana and Switzerland might not get out of their groups.
No,
brilliant,
but also might get out of their groups having already had some tough games. So I don't know. It's a funny one, isn't it? Actually, do you know what? There's no obvious group of death. What there is just lots of difficult groups. Because
England should top their group like comfortably.
Right? Yes, they should. But I've got a theory that the first game they play is earlier on in the day, so the temperatures will be higher.
Yeah. Who are they playing?
Knackered from playing in the Premier League. Yeah. You know, Conte said as much about the likes of Kane.
Yeah.
And we're playing Iran. Absolute banana skin waiting to happen. Second game is later on against the USA, who will be an athletic side, better side than we'll probably give credit for, and could, get a result. And then we play Wales, where, it's that kind of, next
local derby. Yeah,
exactly. In my head, there's a scenario where England don't get out of the group.
See, because
the same time, there's an England that waltz through, 3 weeks.
I mean, as I said to you before, I struggle to get up for internationals. I'll watch the World Cup because of the football angle to it, and my agenda is solely Arsenal. It's like Arsenal players, so the England team. It's in our interest as an Arsenal player, as an Arsenal fan, to want England to get a little bit further, so that the likes of Kane get more game time and risk fatigue more. Saka will probably be the only Arsenal player to play for England. I mean, I don't know about Ben White, to be fair. It depends on how he...
Injuries.
With Kyle Walker and so on. I mean, we really want Xhaka and Partey to have 3 games in the World Cup and no more, and be home and have 3 weeks off, nice 3-week rest, do them the world of good. And Jesus probably won't start for Brazil, so
we won't.
So Martinelli, will he start for Brazil? Is Rafinha fit?
I don't think Rafinha will start for Brazil.
Okay, what about?
You'll have Neymar, you'll have Vinicius Junior, and then they play a number 9. Can't remember his name now. It's gone, but he's more of a traditional number 9 sort of figure.
So that's fine. If Arsenal players getting a rest, be good.
The only guaranteed starters, I think, will be
Xhaka and Partey,
as we've said.
Matt Turner
for USA, and like you say, Saka. Yeah, depends how Southgate goes, really.
And
he likes Foden and Grealish as well. So
we've got Emil coming back as well.
That's great.
Tomiyasu,
if he's fit, will play for Japan. I would have thought. And then, after that, it's all players that are just sort of in the squad. And we get to rest all the ones that stay behind. Gabriel will have a point to prove. Kieran Tierney can...
Odegaard,
he's off.
more importantly.
Zinchenko, Odegaard. That's a good spine of the team that will be just sticking around and getting rest and, recuperation. Smith Rowe back will be fantastic to add into that mix. Eddie can sharpen up a bit.
We're playing a few friendlies, aren't we? So I heard rumoured against Barcelona at one point.
Oh God. I hope not.
But so who's your? So I've got some awards for the first half of the season.
Okay.
Signing of the season so far.
Oof. See, this is the thing. I think if he'd played all games, I would have immediately gone for Zinchenko, but I've got to say Gabriel Jesus. He's just elevated the side. He is so class. I'm getting look. Don't get me wrong. He could score more goals. I think there are presentable chances that you really would like a number 9 to finish. But there's no way you can overlook what he brings to the side.
No, he makes a last-ditch tackle at right back or at left back. And
there was a point in the first half where the first sort of 20 minutes, he was our best defender. It was incredible. So, he is all over the place. He doesn't play like a...
So long as he doesn't start doing that to keep himself out of the penalty box.
But that's the thing. I was just literally going to say the same thing. You do wonder if sometimes... he might be well instructed to just say, do you know what? Just stay there. It's fine. Yeah. That's someone else's job. Partey can do that. Xhaka can do that.
Does Saliba count as signing?
No, he doesn't count as a signing. It's people who signed in the summer.
Okay, right. Here's an easy one for you. The redemption story of the season.
Rob Holding's hairline.
Okay.
No, of course it's Xhaka. I mean, wow.
I mean, yes.
Just wow.
Like ridiculously.
Wow.
So, he's becoming a lot of Arsenal fans' favourite player.
Yeah. I was talking to someone at the game, I think it was my pal Joe, about how I think one of the big differences is we're using him in the right way now as well.
The way Switzerland use him.
He's an attacking midfielder. He is not a last line of defence midfielder. When he is, he worries, he panics, he mistimes challenge, he's over aggressive. Whereas when he's pressing from the front, he doesn't have to do that.
He's more relaxed. He's playing his natural game.
It's just brilliant, and that suits everyone. Partey. That's why I feel Partey is so important, because if we have to shift Xhaka back to that situation,
we can't.
I really worry, because I've been thinking as well. I didn't look up the statistics, but I feel like we've picked up a lot of yellow cards, but no reds, right?
We haven't had a red card. I don't think we haven't picked up a suspension. I think there's
a few players that are one away,
I think it's not. Yeah, but Jesus has been for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it? I think it's game. Is it game 19?
19,
The
the
amnesty
reset.
comes in. It's a lot of games to avoid a yellow
So
card.
there's got to be. I mean, you think about the Christmas period. West Ham, first game back after the World Cup, not necessarily easy. I know West Ham aren't exactly firing, but not easy.
Well,
Brighton away.
I think West Ham home, Brighton away is quite good because they're good enough for us not to get complacent.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to be on it from the beginning.
Because then we've got Newcastle, who have only lost once.
And then Spurs and United.
Jesus.
So we're home.
This is why I'm enjoying the ride, and I've loved this first half of the season.
Listen, we'll look at those fixtures in a minute.
Yeah.
We're back to the awards so far. Unsung hero of the season.
Unsung hero. It's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously there's been the talk about. Well, do you know what? I was contemplating Ben White.
Yeah.
But actually, lots of people have been talking him up. I'm going to say Gabriel, centre back.
Okay.
Because everyone's been raving about Saliba, and everyone's been talking about how Ben White's come on and he's playing in a different position and he's earned his England call up. So yeah, I'm going to go Gabriel. I think Gabriel has been quietly excellent.
Yeah.
Because lots of people would, when Saliba was so good and so composed, everyone was saying, "Oh, that's good. They needed that because Gabriel can make a mistake." And I would have said that at some point as well. But actually, he has been excellent.
Yeah. No, and he's a goal scoring centre back as well.
Chipping him goals, chipping him goals.
Okay.
More than Ronaldo. He's got more goals than Ronaldo.
And he's not had an interview with Piers Morgan, so
Yeah, that's
odd.
bizarre.
Oh, he wants to be sacked, doesn't he? That's clearly what he wants.
I want him to stay at United.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Do you know what? I read a thing as well because Morgan, the absolute plonker that he is, and I'm choosing my words very carefully there, put out a thing about how Arsenal could use him or do with him or whatever, and you just thought, you're just an idiot.
He's just saying it, isn't he? Like,
yeah. What? Piers Morgan say something to court controversy? No.
I know, you heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Yeah.
Player of the season.
We didn't have to tap into a dead girl's answering machine to get it either.
That was proven, wasn't it? So we don't need to say.
Oh, no. Even though he was the editor in charge, he obviously didn't know anything about it. So that's.
Well, I know Arsenal fans have an issue with him. Report him as editor of the Mirror. Several fans lost their season tickets forever because of what went on in I think Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Player of the season.
See, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because I feel like Saka has been his laid-back, exceptional best. Martinelli in patches has been absolutely dynamite. But Odegaard's just kind of nipping everything together. So I think I'm going to say Odegaard.
I did as well.
Did you?
Even though you've got Partey and you've got Xhaka and
that's
Saliba.
The thing, isn't it? It's hard. It's such a collective thing.
But I think Odegaard. I just think he's such a high quality player, and he's the engine. He keeps everything moving far, quickly, forward, break the lines. He's
excellent. Although Martinelli, I feel runs a really close second.
Young player of the season. I don't know what qualifies as a young player now.
They all are, aren't they?
Yeah. So. Players to consider would be Saliba, Saka, and Martinelli.
How old Saliba? 21.
Yeah.
I mean, to be doing what he's doing as a centre.
In fact, those three are 21, aren't they? Or is Martinelli 20?
I just don't know. They're all so young.
So the young player of the season is from them three. I can't think of.
I mean, Odegaard's 23. Yeah, I mean, it's got to. Martinelli. I sort of said Martinelli was a close second to Odegaard for player of the season. So I think I've probably got to go to him.
Yeah, I know. I'd agree. But then Martinelli over Saliba.
But that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, isn't it? They're both exceptional.
Has Saliba had the bigger impact?
Yes.
I think he probably has.
I think he has. And I think to have the luxury of chancing upon Ben White stepping out to right back and playing to such a high level, both defensively and offensively as well.
Saliba in that team means that the likes of Cedric is further from the first 11, so it's really strengthened our first 11 and our bench as well, because we've got a Tierney or a Tomiyasu on the bench as a first kind of call up. Not Holding Holding and Cedric are further away.
So there's a game theory idea about strong link, weak link games, and the idea in some games and sports. So, for example, basketball is a strong link game where there's only 5 players, and what you can do, it's very easy to get the ball to your strongest player. So every team is as good as its strongest player, which is why whoever usually has the best player usually wins and does the best. Football is considered a weak link game, meaning every team is only as good as its weakest player. And so, for example, when Messi was in his latter stages at Barcelona were dropping off, even though they had arguably the best player in the world, because Messi might only touch the ball 10, 15 times a game. And so if you can't get the ball to him all the time, he can't have as big an impact on the game. Now, it didn't stop him doing wonderful things, but it does mean overall the performances step off. So you saying that Saliba puts Cedric down the pecking order means that we've just increased our sort of weak link.
Our floor is higher.
The floor is higher, yeah. Now, what the worry is, and we all sort of recognise it, and I think this is true of probably Newcastle as well, that first 11 is a great first 11. And it can beat anyone, and it's really difficult to beat, and all that kind of thing. 2 or 3 injuries, 2 or 3 suspensions at the wrong time.
It depends. It depends on the position on the field.
And depends on who, of course. Yeah, massively. So I think Saliba has really lifted that floor. And you know what? Arteta knows this, and he knows it from his time working under Pep Guardiola, because Pep Guardiola wants a squad of basically 22.
Two teams. Yeah.
Two teams to choose from, because you can cope with, something beyond that in maybe one position, because let's face it, top clubs have brilliant academies anyway. So you just need to, manage that. I know City do it on a massive wage budget and all that sort of thing as well. But Arteta is trying to maneuver that, and you can see that in play.
They still can't beat Brentford at home, though.
And we've now beaten them away, which I'd argue is our most dominant performance this season.
Well, performance of the season.
Brentford away.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I'm going to go Chelsea away.
Okay.
Just because it made me stop and kind of think differently about this team. When we beat Brentford away, I think there was an element of revenge in that game from the previous season, and it was. Do you know what? I'll couch it like this: it was more emotional, whereas the Chelsea game was just dominant. It was controlled. That level of emotion, bizarrely, wasn't like that. Although I was in bits watching the game, but that's by the by. That's the Arsenal fan. Okay. What other performance notes were mentioned?
I just want to say about the Brentford. I think it's interesting because you said the Chelsea game made you think differently about this team. The Chelsea game made me think differently about Chelsea. I feel that Chelsea, as good as we were, Chelsea were really poor.
Yeah, I've been saying to you that Potter's got lucky with these first few games.
There was something, of the opposition. They were really lackluster. Really lackluster.
Goal of the season. Now, I've subdivided this to quality and most celebrated.
Oh.
So let me go through the fixtures because I can't remember them all.
Well, right. So I've got 3 in mind.
Okay, well done. Hang on. I can't remember 3 goals.
Really? I've got 3 straight away.
Right, hang on. So Palace away 2-0, Leicester home 4-2.
Right,
Bournemouth.
Leicester.
Go on.
Gabriel Jesus' first goal for Arsenal in the Premier League. He
Okay.
gets the ball in the box, and even though the box is packed full of players, he manages to chip Ward,
Oh
the
yeah,
Leicester keeper. And I think it was a weird one because it wasn't over celebrated. You know, it wasn't a last minute winner, and it wasn't, you know, really sort of fiery celebration, but it was a joyful celebration. It had, you know, a Giroud scorpion kick feel about it. It was like, did he really just do that? Chipped the Leicester player at home first game, so nonchalant. That was brilliant. And then there's the other 2 almost identical goals.
Yeah, I know. The first one of those is the one I've kind of gone to for celebrated goal, and that's the party against Spurs one.
Yeah.
A lot of that because we were right behind it as well, so we could see it. We knew it was going in.
Good. That was really good.
What's the other one? Oh yeah,
the other Partey.
Yeah.
Albeit, yeah, it wasn't celebrated nearly. It was celebrated because it was so similar, but you know, we were already leading against Forest.
We haven't had any last minute winner.
Well, I was just trying to think in my head about the Spurs and Liverpool games, and obviously there's the Partey goal, but the Liverpool goals seem to have evaporated from my mind.
Right. So hang on.
Can't really remember.
So Martinelli scored in the first minute.
Yeah.
Saka scored in the 5th minute of injury time at the end of the first half. Okay. A half that Liverpool kind of dominated.
Yes, they did, yeah.
And then Saka scored a penalty in the 76th minute.
I mean, all very much well celebrated.
Yeah, because it was 2-2. So it was an important goal.
Very.
But isn't this just kind of indicative of the season we've had anyway?
In what sense?
Well, we've been dominant.
Yeah.
So there haven't been, like, look at Spurs. Spurs, how many 90-something minute winners have they got? United the same.
Yeah.
Liverpool have got. Man City have got. We haven't. Okay, Southampton would have been a good one to get.
Yeah.
A last minute winner at. But apart from that, we've just lost to Man United, 3-1. So we're never really like the Spurs game.
And we played really well against United.
Yeah, the Xhaka goal against Spurs, the 3-1 goal against Spurs, as a notable, addition to the goals of the season. But the party one against Spurs.
I've just watched the Martinelli one against Liverpool. Odegaard plays the best pass.
Oh yeah, just ran onto it first time.
The entire defence, and then Martinelli hits it, slips it in first time. Beautiful goal. Well, right. But it's probably got to be Partey against Spurs, hasn't it?
Yes, I think so, because it was 0-0 at the time.
Yeah, and it was just so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, I'm out on my awards for the first part of the season. Right. Okay. So looking ahead to December, Boxing Day.
Are you there? No, you're away, aren't you?
No, I'm away. Spurs away to Brentford, 12:30 kickoff.
Tricky. And if Spurs' team, big, World Cup players don't come back in rude health, then
they got a couple of Argentinians, Brazilian, French.
Lloris will be the French keeper.
Kane.
Yeah. Oh, Kane's the one. Son has gone to the World Cup. He's got fractured eye socket, so he'll probably wear a mask, I would have thought, to help with that. Kulusevski won't be at the World Cup.
Yeah. And he seems their most threatening player.
Like a proper player. He is annoying how little they paid for him as well.
Yeah, and we could have got him.
Well, you could say that about everyone, isn't it? Did you read the latest quotes from Mudryk, the Shakhtar?
No, I did not.
He's recently been interviewed by Zinchenko's wife, who is a Ukrainian TV presenter or something along those lines, and was asked about this, that, and the other. And one of them was, "Would you be disappointed if you don't get a move in January?" And he responded, "Yes."
Wow.
Then there was discussion about, teams and this, that, and the other, and he said something along the lines of, if it's a case of being on the bench at Real Madrid or playing regularly for Arsenal, at this moment in time, you'd have to go for Arsenal. And he would love to play with Zinchenko or Zini. Yeah, that looks like an interesting one.
60 million, I'll do it all day long.
I think that
because Real Madrid will pay double for him in 5 years.
I also, exactly. There's so much sell-on potential, but also potential for the here and now.
Yeah, and as under Wenger, if we're successful, they won't go to Real Madrid.
How much would that take the burden off the likes of Saka, Martinelli, and Gabriel Jesus if they have an intense World Cup or don't quite come back in the right frame of mind or injured or anything like that? Coupled with Smith Rowe coming back to cover for Odegaard, although Odegaard's not going to the World Cup. The thing that worries me, if Gabriel Jesus is going to be more of that link-up player, having a goal scorer in reserve, and also, and it's still a problem, Partey and Xhaka. The drop-off, if one of those goes out of the team, is too far.
Yeah, so Mudryk isn't going to. Yeah, he's not going to solve that problem, the Partey and Xhaka one. But he will cover all three. He'll cover all three attacking positions, and he's lightning quick. Like he's so fast, and he's not. He's got presence as well. 2 good feet. I mean, he's the real deal. Tielemans, yeah, absolutely. Drop 10, 15 million quid on him, get him in January, absolutely worth it. He'd come.
Because the thing is, I understand the logic in waiting for the summer when he's free, but if we're in such a good position.
And last January we were in such a good position for top 4,
and
didn't do anything and lost out. And I think if we were going to go for Tielemans in the summer, and we've decided that, then bring that forward. Man City brought forward their Alvarez signing or whatever. It's like just get him in.
Yeah.
If we were going to go for Mudryk last summer, which we did, and we're going to go from next summer, then
might as well go from now.
If he's already earmarked as the correct profile and so on, might as well go from now. My issue, or not, it's not an issue. Does that impact Martinelli or Saka and their game time? And does it risk rocking the boat somewhat? And should we care about that? Because Man City don't care about that.
We shouldn't care about that.
No.
And because there's an element of Arteta's come from that Man City setup and that culture. And I find it fascinating how some players have periods in the team and then out. Because it feels like I'm talking about players like Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan,
Mahrez,
top class, world class players, but it feels like they almost have a season off. You know what I mean? Where it's like one season they're featuring heavily and they're playing amazing, and then it's almost like next season they're just kind of there and come in and
even Foden doesn't play every game. Grealish is on the bench more than
and I think to be part of that, then it must be explained to them that actually you're part of the squad.
Yeah, it's a different mentality. It's not a first 11 anymore.
No,
but we still see it as a first 11.
We've got to be moving towards that. Sure.
Yeah, and if the players, like if Martinelli and Saka are spooked by the competition, well then, that's a flaw in them.
Yeah,
let them raise their game. Keep them out. It's like it's so Spurs away to Brentford on Boxing Day, 12:30 kickoff. Then we've got, in terms of rivals, Newcastle away to Leicester. Now Leicester's on a bit of a good form at the moment, so that would be an interesting one.
Maddison's going to the World Cup. Tielemans is going to the World Cup. Castagne's going to the World Cup. Even Ward, the keeper, will be at the World Cup with Wales.
Maddison won't play though, so.
I think Maddison will play.
Do you?
I don't. Yeah, I think all the England players will be used at some point. and he went off with an injury before anyway. In the last game against West Ham. So I don't know.
Liverpool are away to Villa at 5:30.
Well, I mean, Emery's got the bounce going on, hasn't he? But then the World Cup's probably come at the worst time for them.
And then we're at home to West Ham at 8 o'clock.
Tricky.
And then, so that's the 26th. 27th then, 2 home games, Chelsea against Bournemouth and Man United against Forest. So there's 2 home wins there.
Yeah.
You got to think then on Friday the 30th, Liverpool at home to Leicester, home win. New Year's Eve, Wolves with their first home game with the new manager, home to Man United. I'll be keeping an eye on that one as the first potential drop points from a rival.
Do you think?
Man City home to Everton, no chance. Man City all day long. And then at 5:30 on the New Year's Eve, we're away to Brighton.
Bogey side.
Yeah, off a bit of form there. They lost at home to Villa, so.
But played well. I watched quite a lot of that game. They did play well. They're going to be one of those teams. I think they probably had more consistency under Potter. Whereas this De Zerbi's come in, and it's not like they're playing in a dissimilar way.
But they're scoring more.
It's very cavalier, the way they're sort of playing. It's like a...
Which actually probably suits us.
Potter style turned up to 11, which could suit us, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or could wipe the floor with us.
New Year's Day, Spurs home to Villa. I think that's a home win. Chelsea away to Forest, away win. 2nd of January, Liverpool away to Brentford could be tricky enough. I still fancy Liverpool to win. Yeah. The 3rd of January then. We're United home to Bournemouth and we're home to Newcastle, same time kickoff. That's tough.
I really don't know about Newcastle.
No.
They're a proper side.
It does mean we're storing up quite a few tricky away games in the second half of the season. I.e.,
we played more away games than anyone else.
We have, yeah, that's right. No, some of the teams like United have done the same as us: 8 and 6, 8 away games and 6 home games. But we're away. We've got to go to Newcastle, go to City, and go to Liverpool, and go to Spurs. So we've got 4 very difficult away games. And then 4th of January, Spurs away to Palace. Okay. And then 5th of January, City go to Chelsea. Now, it's not far enough, it's not deep enough into January for Chelsea to have signed any decent players, and have them play. But Chelsea could get up for that game, fired up for that game. You never know. And then I presume it's the FA Cup, because then it's the 14th of January and they've not moved those games we're away to Spurs that weekend, but it won't be at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Oh, I just looked at that. Right, okay, so City go to United same weekend as we go to Spurs.
Oh, what a weekend.
Yeah, so that's actually quite, I feel a bit better about that, because I'll be hoping United turn City over and they can kind of soften the blow of our inevitable drop points. So,
did you just say that you hope United turn City over?
Yeah. Listen, it's about Arsenal.
You're recording this, right?
No one will be listening at 58 minutes. That's all right. And then the following week, we're home to United. So bloody hell, is that 3 games in a row? Home to Newcastle, away to Spurs, home to United. You give me 9 points from those 3 games, and it's on.
Yep.
And then let me see who's the next game, because those 3 games are brutal.
Well, that's the thing. There's a few checkpoints to come in. I think get through the Christmas period.
Yeah, those two games, home to West Ham, away to Brighton.
Those tough games in January. I think whatever we do in the transfer market in January will be telling as well. And then where we come out the other side of that, I will either be thinking, oh, sugar, we really could do it, or I'll be like, see, just enjoyed the ride. It was all fine.
See, City go to Spurs then, and we're at Everton.
don't get too lost in the fixture list. The whole thing could look very different. There could be long-term injuries from the World Cup. You could have different managers. You know, Lampard's on thin ice. David Moyes is on thin ice.
Yeah.
Potter.
Man United got done by the new manager bounce.
Exactly.
Didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Even Potter at Chelsea. You know, it's one thing to be doing a good job at Brighton, but if you go on a poor run at Brighton,
you're all right.
It's a longer run before people really start to clamour. Whereas at Chelsea, what is it now? 5 games without a win? That's not Chelsea. Don't do that.
Under Abramovich, you've been sacked for less than that.
Well, this is it. So that's an interesting thing to think about. United have got all sorts going on with Ronaldo and the squad.
I'm a little bit. He's disappointed me, Ten Hag.
Yeah, because he's doing quite a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like very level-headed, and he's established his authority, and there's a process going on. So it's annoying.
And they've got money, and they've already said they'll spend big in January for a striker.
Do you still trust them to spend wisely?
No, because they spent 90-something million on Anthony, and I'm not sure he's all that. Casemiro 60 million, and Varane. A lot of money's gone out on him.
The problem is they're still going. Casemiro. That's still very short term. He's playing brilliantly, by the way. Casemiro, mate. There was a tackle in the Fulham game which was just unreal. It was so good, and he's playing really well. But they will already have to be thinking about who replaces him.
Well, also and Eriksen. The fact that their midfield pairing is Casemiro and Eriksen.
Well,
I mean that's not a future platform, is it? So
that will get them into the Champions League now, maybe.
But isn't that battle for the Champions League? Like, I'm not counting us out of it.
No,
but it's like it's 4 from 8.
Yeah.
Well, 4 from 7. But so look, we are 11 points clear of United in 5th place. Same games played after 14 games. I'd have settled for that somewhat. We are 5 points clear of City, same games played. We're 7 points clear of Newcastle and 8 points clear of Spurs. And we have a game in hand on both of those. That game in hand is home to City, however. But
the Everton game was moved as well, wasn't it? Because that was the one where everyone's game was moved.
Was that home? That was
because of the Queen.
And was that at home?
I think it was. Yeah, because I was due to go, so it wouldn't have been away. Yeah, it would have been home.
So that's good. So at least we're stacking up the home games for games in hand.
But it's pressure on the team further down the line, that's all.
Well, we haven't got your League Cup match, and we haven't got the first knockout stages of the Europa League. So we've got kind of 3 clear midweeks at least. And the Premier League should fit. Well, mind you, it's Man City, though, so the Everton game could be rearranged for one of those midweeks because they're not in Europe. And they're not in the League Cup either because Bournemouth beat them. The Man City game, obviously, that's different. They're in everything, so they won't have that much spare time. Right. I think it's what should we say? How do you summarize it? It's like, how in the holy hell are we where we are? But we are.
It's unreal.
It's like it's just walking around the school today. 2 Spurs fans as caretakers. Loads of kids support Spurs. A couple of other teachers support Spurs. And the first time they are all looking so glum. And it's not because of their team, it's because of us.
Yeah. Well, it's been so long since I've felt like this that I really find it weird.
Yeah. It's an alien feeling at the moment.
It feels so alien. The last time that we were, I think I read somewhere, the last time we were top at Christmas was 2007. I think.
Well, that's the season we should have won the league, isn't it? That's the Eduardo injury in Birmingham. Yeah.
So there's that, and that's so long ago. I mean, I was a student then.
See, for me, people say 2007. I'm thinking that was only a couple of years ago, but it wasn't.
It really wasn't. So yeah, it feels very odd. Never would have predicted it. Just can't get used. I'm reading match reports and I'm reading, you know, summaries of this season and thing, and it's when people are saying nice things about Arsenal, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sound like the same club I support. It's so bizarre.
Well, I basically spent all of Sunday with that screen on my phone just to look at it.
Yeah. It's just
because I'm like, no, that's
but
us.
it's everything. It's top to bottom. It's the fact that it's a young team that are so easy to support. It's the fact that the performances are so high in quality.
So what's going to happen? Hang
on. It's more than that. It's also the fact that the home atmosphere has been electric. It's getting harder and harder to get tickets because people want to come and cheer. There's absolutely no division amongst the fan base. You get a few grumbling idiots who talk about, you know, Gabriel Jesus is not scoring and blah blah blah, and I just don't care about them. Like, some people are maybe looking for a fight, but generally everyone is so on board. And those moments, you know, we concede. All right, we were leading, but we conceded a goal against Leicester, and within a blink, the crowd are up again and supporting. It's so positive. Even
the game against Liverpool, when we conceded 2 equalisers,
and even
seconds before.
I forget that I went to Old Trafford and watched us lose, and it was disappointing, the result, but I don't remember it being a bad day. Do you know what I mean? The atmosphere, the away end was still good. It was still chanting and was still singing and still supporting. There was no toxicity to it. It was still hopeful. It was disappointing and it was frustrating, and you know, but it didn't pop the bubble. It was
ironically different. Perhaps it provided another piece of very strong evidence that we're the real deal, because we bounced back straight away.
Yeah, we said, didn't we, last year, the thing that killed us were those losing runs, and we haven't had that.
No, we drew against Southampton, but then luckily, I think, Forest home was the next game, and I think that was a kind fixture for us because we just fluked a 1-0 away at Leeds. We'd
lost to Eindhoven.
That's right.
Before Forest, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or was it just after? I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe we got the sneaky win against Eindhoven at home. But either way, we've topped the group. We've got rid of that game. There really is just nothing. My question is, I know we're going on longer than we perhaps intended, but you know, this whole thing is part of a process, and we've had to get used to certain checkpoints. So part of the process was, you know, clearing out the deadwood, paying some players off. Yeah, we were disappointed we didn't go back in and buy another striker to help us get over the line. But look where we are now.
And it made sense. It made sense what they were doing. Like, you could see it.
Absolutely. You can see the absolute logic. We've bought well in the transfer market. We've totally transformed the age profile of the squad, and presumably the wage bill as well. The club are engaging with the fans a bit more. You know, the Ashburton Army has been allowed to do what it does. And, you know, there just seems so much more positivity in that way. So what is the next evolution? You know, we've touched upon doubling down on the transfer market. There's also got to be that acceptance that players will be bought to compete with other players we assume would be guaranteed starters, because we want to increase the depth of the squad. Maybe that's the next sort of, you know, checkpoint we have to face. Then there will become the moment when we might have to sell a player. You know, one of these brilliant players that we've got in our team and that we love, you know, we might look at it and go, do you know what? A massive club, whether it's, I don't know, Real, Juventus, Bayern, PSG, they're offering us silly money for this player, which we could take and buy 2 or 3 more absolutely high quality players who add to the squad and change it. You know, that would be maybe difficult for us fans to think about, but I wonder if the club will.
Well, we've currently got 3 of those players who could do with signing an extension.
Yes. Saka's just homegrown academy product, that high quality. Give him whatever he wants. Yeah. Martinelli wants to stay. He's already said so in an interview.
Give me the pen.
Sign whatever. Saliba is a different kettle of fish. because he's French, because he was happy in France as well. But at the same time, how could you not want to continue doing what
if he's happy in London,
Mm.
like outside of football, if he's happy living here, then there's no
I don't see why he wouldn't. But then
PSG would be the only pull for him in that sense. But I mean, Real Madrid would be the kind of, if they've got money, I don't know. Barcelona not in the Champions League, but they seem to find money.
Don't know where.
I don't think you'd go to. It's not necessarily going from Arsenal, but I don't think you'd go from the Premier League to the Bundesliga. I don't think you would do that. I know Mane did from Liverpool, but he's kind of.
Mane's 29, 30.
Yeah, exactly. So the players want to come to the Premier League because it's where the big bucks is, but it's where the competitiveness is as well. It's like, they see the atmospheres in the stadium. I mean, the German. I haven't been to a German game, and it's a big blot on my copybook. I want to go to it doesn't have to be an Arsenal game, but I just want to go to. I want to see the yellow wall at Dortmund. I want to see.
Me too. Yeah,
I want to experience that.
I did Bayern away, and like you say, German fans are brilliant because it's that orchestrated kind of fandom, which has been adopted here. But Ashburton Army, all the Palace fans and all that kind of stuff, and it's great, and it does add that sort of,
and it'll build. Yes, it'll build as well. And of course, we'll leave it on this note. But the highlight so far has been the playing of North London Forever before every
you bloody love that song,
home game. Yes, I do.
But it's identity, isn't it? There's an identity. There's an association with the club and the players, the manager. It's really hard to find anything negative to say, and it feels so weird.
It is highly unusual.
I don't remember a period of supporting Arsenal, and especially I got my season ticket in 2015, and I started going to away games regularly around the same time, and it's just never been this good for me.
No, I mean I predate that somewhat. My season ticket I picked up in '96.
So your early Wenger era.
No, I have been utterly spoiled. Like, completely. But even still, don't think for a second that the Wenger years were the good Wenger years weren't without their. Don't forget, we lost at home to Blackburn, and Tony Adams had the whole team in a post, like basically, right, what the hell? And it was December or something like that. It's the year we hunted down United, and we won 10 games in a row. And it's like it was like revolt inside Highbury. Yeah. Like it was really hostile atmosphere. Yeah. Fans going mad, and Adams had enough at the places. Right, and it was like a kind of what do you call it?
Clearing of the air.
Yeah, there was no consequence. You could say what you wanted, and it was like everyone got everything off out of their chest, and actually went on. It was the turning point of that season. But that was late. It must have been December. I'm not sure exactly when it was. And that's like we won the league that year. We won the double that year. So I remember playing FA Cup semi-final at Villa Park, and Wenger drops Henry and Bergkamp to save him for Europe. I'm like, wow. Arsenal fans on Henry's back so much because he had that. He missed a lot of chances. Like, this seems insane. And me and my mate, as we're watching it, we were saying, like, we're thinking, like, listen to the crowd, like, are absolutely going for Henry, and we'd look and think, we are so spoiled. This is a generational player, and look at what on his back. And I hold him personally responsible for us not winning the Champions League in 2006.
Well,
he's clean through, 1-on-1, 1-0 up, 20 minutes to go. 2-0, game over. And everybody knew it. Yeah. And that's why he stayed one more year, because he was all gone. Had to won the Champions League. And he stayed one more year because he had that guilt. He had that sense of responsibility, and it was his fault. So he should have. So it was like But you're right now and I think because that was never a young team, that was never, we didn't see the birth of that team.
No.
It was, Wenger walked into a back four, which is why it's absolutely remarkable that Arteta's got to 50 wins. Oh no, got more points, more wins in his first 150 games. Or is it? What's the stat from last week?
I think that is, that's right. Yeah,
that's
more wins than any other manager in their first.
6 more than Wenger. I think that's remarkable considering he's up against the likes of a much stronger Premier League, a much more competitive Premier League with 3-4 teams, and he walks into a team that had Mustafi and Kolasinac and in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, whereas Wenger walks into like a wall of back four. It's like so. And I think so. We've seen the birth. We are literally in at ground zero. We are witnessing the birth. We're still in the embryonic stages. It's great that he's won an FA Cup, so he's got that. So it's the pressure. We can't. Can you imagine? It'll be, you haven't won your first trophy yet. You haven't. Yeah, he has actually. So so they can't throw that one at us, which is good because they would be throwing that one at us. Yeah, they're playing really well, but they've won nothing. Yeah, we have actually. So,
even when we're rubbish, we win trophies.
Yes, indeed. Right.
Cool.
Right. Excellent. So listen, that's it for Arsenal for 6 weeks or whatever it is.
I reckon we should do some World Cup videos where we come on and we only do like 1 minute and we just go, phew, thank God they're not injured. Or, oh shit, they're injured.
Yeah. Yes, they're home. Yes, they're home. Yes, they're out. They're out. Right. Okay. I see my Wi-Fi starting to go a bit sketchy. Right. Brilliant. Well, enjoy the World Cup and
great to catch up.
See you back post Boxing Day.
Well, you won't be there. I'm going to Brighton.
No,
but I can't do Newcastle because it's now a school day. So
I think I'm going to do Newcastle.
Might be Spurs.
Oh God.
Right. See if you can blag a ticket.
I'm not
sure. New Year's Eve.
No. Right. Okay. Anyway, I'm ending recording. So,
all right, mate.
Cheerio.